Hey everybody, this is Harvey Sluggo Wasserman back with you for the 247th, count 'em, 247 Green Grassroots Emergency Election Protection Coalition Zoom call. We've got a full boat here. We're starting with 40 people. It is November 17th on a Monday, and it's cold in the Northeast. Most of these casts done from Los Angeles, where it is pouring down rain, by the way. But I'm here in New Jersey, and I wanted to go walk in the Nature Conservancy. Too cold for me, but we've got a full show, full boat, lots of people, lots of issues, and we're going to start with our usual poem from the our great poet laureate, Mimi German in embattled Beirut, otherwise known as Portland, Oregon. Mimi, do you want to give us your opening poem, please?
For sure. Thank you. I wrote this poem for Adelina Grijalva right after she was sworn in. The title is For Adelina Grijalva on 11/12/25. When they swore you in, I wept. When they finally called your name, oh sister, how proud I was of who you are, from where you came to where you're going. For the electorate who voted for you, for justice, for the victims of the powerful and predatory, for fairness, for the farmers who tend the vast sun-drenched fields, for the immigrants who are kidnapped and separated from their children, for the children so their bellies can be full in both morning and night, for us so we can breathe, exhaling this suffocation of lies, and for your ancestors who paved this path for you. One might say this is a heavy load to lay at your feet, but not for a woman who has bled, who has birthed, who has listened and loved. You are woman, vested with power of fires that burn, oceans that seethe, mountains that roar, rivers that bend, lightning that splits, and thunder that makes wicked men tumble. You are woman. Your bones, your heart, your mind, your spine knows what it takes to topple the regime. Those pedophiles and lechers, cheaters and thieves. You are a woman who bleeds and lives to read the coming chapter into being. May autumn's last leaves pave your path and keep you safe amidst the dangers, and may the four winds that blow always point your compass due north, and let you not stray from course. And may the quiet stream feed your tongue when you thirst for strength in this work you have forged for love.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Much appreciated. And as always, you are our poet laureate, Mimi German. We're going to be joined soon by Jennifer Roberts, the former mayor of Charlotte, North Carolina. But we have with us the current mayor of Waldport, Oregon, who is in the midst of an incredible battle. Mayor Heidi, can you tell us, after they've arrested you and are now denying your recall petitions, where things stand with this amazing fight for democracy in this tiny town on the Oregon coast, south of Portland?
Yeah, we're in Waldport, Oregon, about 2 hours south of Portland. And my council did unlawfully remove me and then since has reinstated me. But when they did remove me, the community created committees to recall. And they have been collecting over 180 signatures for each six of the counselors that they were recalling. They turned those signatures in to the city clerk to certify on October 14th, and the city clerk will not certify those signatures. Now we're in this weird technicality of whether or not they followed the rules or not. It's very confusing, it's very convoluted. And so, what those committees are faced with this week is whether, one, to get a lawyer and to try to sue the city for interfering with the election or giving false information, to renewing their petitions and refiling those petitions and going back to the 100, well, it was actually nearly 300 signatures they actually got because they know who already has committed to this recall with those signatures, going back and having them fill out these boxes correctly. Um, and so that's where my community is. A small community of 2,000 is incredibly divided. And I have to tell you, Sluggo, I'm grieving democracy. I'm grieving that being a mayor is so hard and that recalling is so difficult that we were actually turning each other against each other and calling that democracy. And I think that it's just a sad day. And so I'm sorry to come and share a sad day with you all. Um, but I think that we're this fight is just symbolic of more fights that we all have up against us to protect our elections.
Well, the good news is you gathered in a town of 2,000. You gathered God knows how many signatures. Tony Timakis, is that you from Waldport? Are you the signature gatherer here?
Yeah, I'm the chief petitioner on the recall.
All right, so tell us where you stand with these petitions, please.
We
So what
collected
you're
a little
trying to
over,
do, you basically have a fascist town council that had the duly elected mayor arrested because she's got a brain and a heart. And what you have done is gathered how many signatures and where do you stand in the recall, getting these people removed in a new election for city council?
we have 250 signatures. The county clerk said the issue was not the signatures, but that we didn't get initials on the optional information. We help people fill in their addresses and zip codes, uh, which shouldn't really even be a
Shame on
contention.
you. That's a
Yeah, yeah.
communist. What a communist thing to do.
Yeah, help people fill out paperwork. What a shame. But we got all the signatures. Our issue is one, the Secretary of State's office says that the city recorder is the final say so. The rules on refiling are just as confusing as doing a lot of the other. In one place, it says we have to wait 7 days. In one place, it says we have to wait 90 days. The Secretary of State's office said I could start immediately, uh, but I've requested it in writing because information from what I've been getting is not guaranteed. Just because they tell you something, it's not true. We actually had asked for permission to help people fill out the paperwork because it's difficult to collect signatures standing on a porch with a clipboard.
Well, but what this is going to do is give you an opportunity to refile these petitions. We're joined by another mayor, Mayor Heidi of Waldport, former Mayor Jennifer Roberts with the Carter Center in Atlanta. Jennifer, are you with us? Jennifer Roberts, are you unmuted?
There,
We
yep.
got there we Jennifer?
Can you hear me?
Yes, okay, we can hear you.
Very
So
good.
you're right next on my screen to the mayor, the newly elected mayor of Waldport, Oregon. Say hi to each other.
Oh,
Jennifer and Heidi, say hi. So Jennifer has been
oh,
mayor
oh,
twice of Charlotte, North Carolina. Now she's with the Carter Center. And Jennifer, these fine people, Tony is with us, and also our poet laureate, Mimi German. They are fighting the good fight in Waldport, Oregon, to preserve democracy in small town America. And
Hey,
I need,
Sluggo, real quick. We only have Jennifer Roberts for a few minutes, so if we
yes,
can
go
hear
ahead.
her report.
Yes. So, if Jennifer, I want you in touch, please, with Mimi German, if you can, and we will, and Mayor Heidi, and we will give you the details behind the scenes on what's going on in Waldport and how you can be a part of it. Okay.
yeah, that sounds great. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
I'm going to get in my car that has Bluetooth, and you'll probably hear me a little bit better. Um,
Okay, well, and we thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike, for bringing Jennifer, and thank you for giving us the time warning. I also want to point out, Jennifer, you're going to give us a report on, I guess it's the Border Patrol that's now terrorizing Charlotte, and Mimi German is in Portland, where it's ICE that's doing the terrorization. And on that, you also need to exchange notes. So, Jennifer, can you tell us what's going on with ICE? I mean, with the Border Patrol in Charlotte, please.
Absolutely. All right. So, I have hold on, let me get my
You're good.
um
We can hear you fine.
can you hear me good? Okay. I have been on calls all day. We've got, it's amazing. Charlotte's really coming together in opposition to the illegal actions that Border Patrol is taking. So, first of all, people know that the Border Patrol is actually more militarized than ICE. And we also understand that the Border Patrol that is here has their special ops group that has all the tactical gear. They're wearing masks. They're in unmarked vehicles. They're actually covering the license plates up. And so we've asked our police if they can stop and ask them to uncover their license plates. They can, will they? I don't know. But they are totally covering everything up because they know they're acting illegally. They are not stopping people with warrants, which are supposed to have a judicial warrant to arrest people, but they are stopping people who look brown. They are doing racial profiling. They have been going. They have been going to the Home Depot parking lots. They have been going to schools where they know there are parents on the east side of our city. A lot of Latino parents, a lot of Latino kids. They're in the carpool line at the end after the parents drop the kids off.
Oh my
They are
God.
going. They're going through neighborhoods and getting people who are doing yard work. They actually stopped. They got two people who were putting Christmas lights on somebody's house, and they detained them. They also, by the way, detained a gentleman who was a US citizen. He had a nice chat with them. He drove away. 5 minutes later, a different group detained him. He said, "Hey, I've already verified myself with you guys." They broke his truck window. They dragged him out of the car. They detained him for 20 minutes until he finally said, I have a real ID in my back pocket. They finally let him show them his real ID. And he said, "I just talked to you guys 10 minutes ago." That, by the way, went viral. Some of you on this call may have seen that because that truck driver did a smart thing and videoed them smashing his window. So, definitely a lawsuit there. They have also detained two women who we're sending protesters down to the FBI facility right now because the FBI facility is the only place they have to go to a federal facility because our jail won't take them. They're not gonna. They said we don't engage in federal operations, so you can't come here. So they're taking them to the FBI facility. There's a protest going on because they detained two women who are parents of kids at one of these language schools who were honking at the ICE vehicles because they didn't want them there. They chased these women. They arrested them, didn't tell their family where they were. We had to find out through attorneys and through other people who find out they were in this FBI facility. They have not been allowed access to attorneys. They are US citizens, two women. The group of moms who were on this, there's a group chat of like 250 people who are getting food for moms and families who are afraid to go to the grocery store. They're helping carpool their kids because they're white and they know they won't be stopped. So there's a bunch of community support going on. But this whole group is going to go and protest in front of the FBI facility until those women get released. So
Unbelievable.
it's unbelievable. And they are not operating within the law. They're not identifying themselves. They're randomly picking people up. They issued a list of people. They've arrested about 100 and, over the weekend, 130 people. I think 6 of them had some kind of outstanding criminal thing, including DUI, which is it's not a huge thing if there's no accident or anything. They had, a couple of traffic things. The offenses that they're, supposedly getting these hardened criminals, the offenses they're getting are misdemeanors and light sentences. I mean, not anything that is violent. They're not getting drug lords. What they say, they're going after these dangerous criminals. They're just getting their quota. And they're doing it with tactics that are meant to terrorize. They are meant to scare people. They even had a woman roll down her window and say, "Hey, you shouldn't be here." They pointed their rifles at her. Like she did that on video also. So they are terrorizing people. And we are working as hard as we can to figure out how we can get some kind of court action against them. We're trying to figure out how to support local businesses. We've had reports that all the businesses that have Latino workers have closed.
Oh,
the restaurants, the tire companies, the tree trimming companies, the construction sites. I have a friend of mine has got four different buildings that they're building. Nobody showed up for work today because Latinos are literally building our city. And so we've got basically a work stoppage because they're afraid. And it makes absolutely no sense. I'm hoping the business community will speak up and say, this is killing our business. Not to mention people are not going out and shopping. They're not going out and helping the economy. And this is the kind of thing that this administration is doing. And the other reason that North Carolina is so important is we have a US Senate race. It's an open seat. We have a race coming up, and we know that Roy Cooper, who's the Democrat, is leading in the polls. It could be a red to blue Senate seat. We know that's important for Trump, and this is leading up to intimidation tactics they want to use in 2026. And
unbelievable.
they're not fooling us. We're organizing. We are making connections that we're going to keep all year, and we're going to make sure we're watching the polls, that we're watching the counting of votes, and that we're getting people out to vote. And so I think it's going to backfire on them.
Well, it's up to you to make it backfire. You and people like you and Joel Siegel and the other great people we know in North Carolina. Jennifer, I want to make sure you've connected with Mimi German, who's in Portland. I want to let her talk for a minute. And then but
Yeah.
Mayor Heidi and Tony in Waldport. This is a case we want you to be familiar with. So if you can exchange contacts with Mimi and have a back channel
Okay.
conversation, it's an astounding fight in Waldport, Oregon. Very much parallel. We have a mini Trump in Waldport, Oregon, who's doing the same kind of stuff. Okay, so thank you. And Mayor Heidi and Tony, thank you for coming on with us. Jennifer is as good as it gets. She's a magnificent human being and a great fighter for democracy. So it's an honor to connect you. Mimi, can you now, from Portland, Oregon, you guys should be sister cities now, Charlotte and Portland. Yeah, can you tell Jennifer what's going on in Portland, please? And the rest of us, we got almost 70 people with us. Go ahead.
Jennifer, I really feel for what's going on in your town. We've seen it here and we've seen it in your town before. And
Yep.
you know, I think everybody who is on the streets here and has been on the streets here against fascism, hardcore against fascism, for years now, because of the Proud Boys, because of Enrique Tarrio, because of all of these people who created such havoc in your town and killed
Mm-hmm.
Heather Heyer. We remember these things. So I do want to share with you that one thing that Portland has done very recently is that we strengthened our laws as a city that protects people. So we protect immigrants here. And in strengthening it, we were able to then, or the mayor was able to then, did Jennifer cut out? Oh, no, I see. She's still here. Okay.
I'm here.
Yeah, we were able to uh, tell the chief of police that they cannot go after protesters and they cannot help ICE, in this case, it's ICE, do their dirty work. And what we've seen is although ICE is out, I mean, although the police are out in numbers at the ICE building, which is one block, it's one block long, so all of this terror that Trump has been trying to make a case for that isn't happening here. The police are there and they have actually abided, which is amazing. They have abided by the direction of the city council saying you cannot go after protesters or help ICE. They have arrested people who have come to do the dirty work of Trump. So I would expect that Proud Boys, Tario, all of these people who are now coming back to Oregon to, ruffle our feathers will be arrested. And this is a very powerful thing if this happens, because what we are seeing is that the police are not helping or assisting ICE. And I would be the last person to say this if it were not happening. So I hope that your city can do something like this where you're saying can go after these unmarked cars and remove the whatever it is, the masks on the people on the ICE offenders as well as on their license plates. I hope that something like this can happen.
So hopefully, Jennifer, you and Mimi can exchange notes on this. But
Yeah, put my email in the chat so that you can email me maybe. That'd be great.
Okay. Okay. Great.
well, Jennifer, you're driving. Is there anything else you want to tell us? This is fantastic. It's just amazing to hear from you
Well,
under such incredible
yeah,
circumstances. But
I want to leave you with something positive, and that is that what is happening is it's backfiring. That we are using um, oh, sorry, I'm trying to get out of a parking deck. We are using this as an opportunity to organize and to make networks. There's a group of fierce moms that are being awesome because they care about their kids and they care about their neighbors' kids. And we're going to keep together and keep folks to sign up for canvassing and other things to make sure that we win elections. And so we're going to use this as an opportunity. The administration is revealing how evil it is, and we're going to remind people of that and continue to grow. So, did I lose you?
no, you're
Anyway,
No,
good.
we,
But
no, we have a rule about people driving while on the while zooming. You're very
okay,
important, and we would hate for anything to happen to you, but
got it.
we would really appreciate having you come back and giving us another report. And
Okay.
thank you so much for your leadership. We appreciate you so much.
Jennifer, it's great to see you. We do have that rule. You can't drive while
Okay.
grieving, but we
Got it.
we love you and we want Mimi and you and Heidi and Tony to be together in touch. And I'm sure Portland and Charlotte can join together in this fight. Fantastic. Thank you,
All
Jennifer.
right. All right. Thanks so much. And I'm going to an ICE verifier training right now. So, um,
Report back to us next week, please. And
okay.
please join us at the top of next week. We want you back, especially
Okay.
with Mimi, Heidi, and Tony, okay?
Great. All right. Take care, everybody. Stay strong.
Thank you. You too. Okay. Amazing. Mimi and Heidi and Tony, the fight in Waldport now is going to go to another level. I do want to ask the 70 plus people that these folks need legal help to protect the petition for recall. You know, you've got or five or six fascist city councilors who had Mayor Heidi arrested, for God's sakes, trying to throw out Tony's petitions. If anybody, Mimi, if you want to, or Heidi or Tony, if you want to post your contact in the chat, we need people who are really on the case in terms of election protection. This is not a totally unique situation, but it's an important one. And we want to be able to point to Waldport, Oregon as a place where democracy was preserved, along with Charlotte, North Carolina. Waldport has what, 3,000 people? Charlotte has probably about 300,000, but here we are. Mike Hurst, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, I just want to emphasize that Mayor Heidi is serving as mayor, and she is not the one organizing the recall petition. Um, she's reporting on it as a city official, and that Tony is the one who's taken it upon himself with other citizens in Waldport to do this. So let's be precise in our phraseology of this. We do know that some of the right wingers on the city council have gotten a hold of GREEP Zooms and have tried to use it to go after Heidi. And so we don't want to give them any more
Okay.
tools to do nefarious deeds.
And here
Thank
for
you.
everybody, the situation is that Tony has gathered all these signatures, and they're refusing. The city manager is strong arming the city clerk and into not approving the signatures as gathered. So anybody have any kind of background in that? Mimi's been in touch with the great John Brakey about this. We're looking for Tony a legal strategy. Tony, you want to jump in real quick, and then we're gonna move
Oh,
ahead.
Sluggo, before that, Mimi has to go. So if
Oh,
Mimi
go
has
ahead,
any
Mimi,
last
please.
words.
I just want to say that one of the things that John Brakey said that I couldn't agree with more is that Tony and everyone in who's involved with the recall has to come at this with everything that we all have, we meaning outside of Waldport. So any kind of support that the outer community, meaning those of you on this GREEP call, can offer to both Mayor Heide, just for, running this, bringing sanity to this fascist regime in Waldport, would be welcome. And I know that Tony's going to talk, but we're going to hit it up with a lawsuit. We're going to hit it up with the people who were told by Dan Cutter, the city manager, that they acted fraudulently. That's going to be a lawsuit. There's going to be a new recall petition, and they're going to hit it on every front. And that is what's needed, and that is what's happening. And I couldn't be more proud of Heide and Tony, for Heide for being courageous in the face of every month having to sit with these fascists, and to Tony for taking it upon yourself to engage the community to for justice for the people, for the electorate in Waldport. And on that note, I have to go. And I'm
Okay,
so
thank you,
happy to
Mimi.
be here today. Thank you.
Be careful of the rattlesnakes. I know you're not out in the eastern desert, but there are rattlesnakes in Portland too.
Yes,
Okay.
there are. Okay.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you. Okay, Tony, real quick, and then we're going to go to HARTZELL GRAY, who is, I know, waiting patiently. But Tony, if you can give it us a minute or two, where exactly you stand on this petition and what the next steps might be, and give us your details so the people who've been through this themselves can be in touch with you.
Our goal is to actually go ahead and refile the petition. Right now, we're just waiting for information so that we do it with all the T's crossed and I's dotted, so we don't have another issue. We know they're going to be looking for opportunities to nitpick things that are irrelevant, just like they've already done. I'm in contact with, like I said, Secretary of State's election committee or officer. Her name is Lydia. We're trying to get everything put together so we can do this again, but we want to do it all correct with no loopholes and no opportunity. So it's all got to drop in order. When I've got the right information, we're going to go ahead and refile the petition. I'm currently arguing with the county clerk. I want the original petitions back to me. They told me they were going to the city because they belong to them, and I told her I disagree. They're my petitions. The city already had its opportunity to see them. They already made their decision. All that paperwork is mine. So that's now going back before their county council. So
All
that's
right.
where we are right now.
Tony Tamakis, put your email in the chat, please. How many signatures did you gather?
We had a little over 250.
And how big is the town?
There's 2,500 people.
So you got 10% of the people, 10% of the town. That,
There's only 1,400 registered voters.
oh my God. All
We
right, well,
got
listen,
20%.
this will give you a chance to go back and recontact everybody and get everybody to get their pitchforks and do what you got to do. So put your link in the chat, please. Everybody, I look forward to an upcoming Zoom where we celebrate the ejection of the town council in favor of people who will vote to have the town of Waldport buy its own windmill and go 100% renewable. That's the goal we're shooting for. All right, thank you all three, Mayor Heide, Tony Tamakis. I don't see anybody's hand. I know that HARTZELL GRAY has a campaign to run. So HARTZELL, if you'll introduce yourself, tell us what you're about briefly, and who you are.
Hey,
Yeah, my
Sluggo.
goodness. Oh, go ahead,
Oh,
Brother Mike.
Yeah, I just wanted to say HARTZELL GRAY is an activist, community organizer, radio host, and lifelong citizen of Kansas City. He was raised by working class parents. He grew up in neighborhoods where love and solidarity meant everything, where the community looked out for each other, and where injustice was never just a concept, it was personal. I'm happy to have gotten to know Hartzell. He is the kind of person who lives his leadership and cares deeply about all people as people. He has been working all his adult life to uplift people. He's worked hard to help renters afford their homes in his hometown, and he's also quite a sports fan. It's my pleasure to introduce Hartzell Gray, candidate for Missouri's 4th Congressional District. And I look forward, Hartzell, to help you move into your office in DC after a very successful campaign and election. So take it away, my friend.
Well, I mean, I don't know what you mean moving me in. I think you need to pack your bags because you're coming with. You're gonna be staying there, my friend. That's what that
Okay,
means.
so Hartzell, what is the core of your political activism, and where do you stand on the issues?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm born and raised in the struggle. I tell folks I come from a black radical tradition of liberation on the side of people. Always, I'm the great grandson of a former sharecropper who was picking cotton and decided to move her family from Arkansas to Kansas City, Missouri. And she raised a legacy, a generation of folks. And on the deed of her home, it said no colored folks allowed. And you know what she did? She raised a whole bunch of us, generations upon generations. And when I think about my grandmother, my great grandmother, her name was Priscilla. We called her Mama Silla. And, Mama Silla represents so much to be my story. But also, what happened to Mama Silla is that home that she raised generations upon generations of folks in, our city stole her house from her essentially, gave her pennies upon pennies on the dollar, and said, "This is the best that you can get because we've got to turn this into a luxury place that's going to bring the desirables, not those folks who've been here for years and years and years." And now, fast forward, that was in 2000, fast forward now 25 years, this area of our city is now called Beacon Hill, and I can't even afford to live there, right? And so, we know for a fact corporations that are just bleeding us dry. We're working these crazy starvation wages and not getting paid enough to even buy the things that we need, just basic necessities. So, yeah, when I think about this run, I think about those material conditions that we're all just going through. But yeah, I also think about Mama Silla. And I think about how Mama Silla would have her heart broken right now if she saw how much I want to go back home and I can't go back home. And so I'm running on a platform that guarantees a certain amount of pillars because we deserve it all. I don't think we need just a little bit of breathing room because guess what? So many of us are already drowning. So our platform is we're going to tax the rich and we're going to redistribute that wealth to our folks, the working class people, so that our working class folks can take back their power, and we build this power in our image. It is getting big money out of politics, ending Citizens United, and it's guaranteeing basic human rights, universal health care, and guaranteed truly affordable housing, guaranteed job with a living wage, and all these different pillars of the platform, we can then branch out. Why do I know we can afford universal health care and a guaranteed job with a living wage and protections? And why do I know all this? Because there's a lot of money that we can grab from ICE from the fascists and then invest that into our folks. We can make sure that we defund the war machine. And so instead of sending bombs in service of a genocide, we can invest into our infrastructure, invest into our people, and investing into making the lives of our folks whole. And so, in this fight for the Missouri 4th District, we are in the forefront of this assault on the working class. It's class war. We are one of those states that are going through gerrymandering. It is come and gone. These are now signed into law. What was the 5th district of greater Kansas City, Missouri, and the surrounding areas, populous Kansas City. Second biggest city is St. Louis. What was KC was now split into three. The Missouri 5th became the 6th, the 5th, and the 4th. And so now I am in the fourth district without an incumbent, which makes me the front runner, taking on Mark Alford, who is anti-science. He is anti anything of common sense. He's a MAGA mouthpiece and rubber stamp, who I believe he's 41 for 41 when it comes to votes for Trump. So I can at least tell you it's over 90, but I think it's 100%. And so we have
Okay.
an opportunity here. We're talking to a
Okay.
rural America that is also needing affordability, you know? So when we
Okay.
talk about, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So you are running for a congressional seat.
Hmm.
We will invite your opponent on. We don't do endorsements here, but we're glad to give you a platform.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
we'll give them a platform as well. And I know you know Myla Reeson. We are going to go next to Universal Healthcare, I believe, if Ellen Olson is on the call. But Myla Reeson, and then Mike Hirsch. Go ahead, Myla.
Oh, thank you, Harvey. And it's so great to see you here, Hartzell. We had an opportunity to meet in Venice, California, Southern California, a few weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago. And you probably know from looking at my background, but Harvey and I share a passion about moving into a sustainable green future that does not include nuclear power. And when you and I spoke, we had an opportunity to kind of talk about our hope to have you incorporate. Well, of course, affordability is really an important part of any campaign right now. It's everybody understands that that's really important. But can you talk a little bit about using green, clean, sustainable energy and moving away from nuclear power? What's your position on that?
No, absolutely. I'm a very much anti-nuclear power, as we were talking about when we got a chance to speak. Oh gosh, it was a couple months ago now. Time flies. So much of the waste and the awful repercussions of the Manhattan Project was felt specifically in my state. St. Louis took a lot of the brunt, but also in Kansas City as well. We're seeing a lot of that. And so, again, when I talk about a message of affordability reaching our people, I also mean climate action because I mean providing and championing green jobs as we make this transition, but also at the same time as we're making a pitch for green jobs, we have to make a pitch for 100% green renewable energy, And so I'm going to push to make sure that we can modernize, but also I'm going to push to nationalize our energy grid and make sure that we get these big fossil fuel companies out of our politics. Again, those core pillars to my campaign, I think we can insert from housing to climate, how it's all interrelated. When I talk about getting big money out of politics, I'm talking about getting fossil fuel out of our politics. When I don't take PAC money, and I talk about campaign finance reform, I'm also meaning I don't take any money from the oil lobby, and I want to make sure that I ground this campaign. And like I said, and well, like I quote from our brother Zoran, we can be free and fed. And by freedom, I mean the freedom to know that this environment, our climate's going to be around, not just for future generations, but we deserve this right now. We deserve all of this. And so
Okay.
that's where I am on that. And that's why I'm happy that we can keep
Excellent.
having that conversation, Mila.
Thank you. And you'll be glad to know Donald Trump today made a big speech attacking renewable energy as being
I saw.
unreliable, all that other stuff.
Yeah.
That should really help the renewable energy industry, actually. God forbid Trump should endorse solar panels. Maya, you want to go ahead, then we'll go to Mike and
I
we'll
just
move
also
ahead.
wanted to ask you about that legacy from the Manhattan Project of radioactivity in your district. Can you just expand on that a little bit before we go to Mike Hirsch?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not kidding, my friend. Very, very close to where I currently live was a dumping space for this radioactive waste. And there has been some work being done, especially I want to give credit to a wonderful lady named Maria Chappelle Nadal, who has done a lot of work in the St. Louis side, who just took such a brunt of this. And so what I can do in Congress is make sure I bring in folks so we can bring investigations, also make sure we prioritize cleaning up this waste that is still here and making sure it's equitable, make sure this is a civil rights issue as well, my friend. You know this, it's a human rights issue. So yes, this legacy tragically still continues today. And I'm so happy that I have this opportunity to highlight this thanks to good folks like yourself who have been bringing this to
Okay.
our attention.
Thank you, Mike Hurst, and then we're going to move on. Mike.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Sluggo and Mila. Hartzell, I understand that you have a profound and substantive economic platform, and the reason why you're running. Can you run through quickly what those main pillars are?
And you know what I can tell you this? There's a few reasons why I could not do this without these good folks on this call. I'm informed by the lived experiences of my folks in the district, but also I'm running on a 21st century economic bill of rights that I've gotten a chance to learn from and expand and grow with thanks to so many people on this call, PDA, and also just the thrill I have right now of being a part. I'm on the specific radio network. This is historic as a radio person. So, again, my friend, these politics are rooted in freedom and liberation and economic populism. It is a message of Bernie Sanders and Zoran Mamdani, and a message of the people, a message of Frederick Douglass, a message of Fannie Lou Hamer. Because if I'm going to my rural parts of this district and tell them that private equity is taking away their apartments, just like my apartments in downtown Kansas City, but also your farmland. And when I say you deserve universal health care, I'm talking about those rural hospitals that will also now be fully funded. And I talk about a guaranteed job with the living wage and union protections. That's going to be folks who are going to be staffing those hospitals and also those farms, and also the opportunity to do whatever it is you want under the sun. And so, no matter where these boundaries put us, there's no one that would tell me that you don't deserve it all, no matter where you live, no matter where you stay. We're better together and we build power together, maybe most importantly.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Hartzell. And good luck with your campaign. Keep us posted.
Thank you. We're going to need
And
all the help we can get. HeartSoulForCongress.com is the website, my friends.
okay, so put your um, um, email in the chat, if you will. Folks can contact you, and we don't solicit donations or anything, or do endorsements. But it's nice to hear you. And when you're the U.S. Senator from Missouri, you can come back and talk to us again.
I'm going to
Thank
Well,
bring y'all with
Sluggo,
me. I'm bringing you with me, my friend.
thank you.
Sluggo, we'll try to get him elected to the House first, and not, and then we'll work on the Senate. But
Well,
and
again, we
I,
don't do endorsements, but yes, folks who want to work for you, you're very impressive. It's nice to see you.
And we got great policy if
absolutely.
you want to dig in there again, from climate to housing to healthcare to union protections, reproductive freedom. My friends, take a look at the website. It's extensive and it's very much informed by a lot of the folks who are currently on this call. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate y'all.
Hey,
Thank you. We
Hartzell, I
appreciate
see Mila has a question, then I'll
Just
add a few words too.
our intrepid engineer Steve Caruso asked me to mention the ongoing Piketon nuclear accident. Are you in Ohio? Are you aware of what's going on in Ohio?
A little bit. I've been trying to again keep abreast on all of what's going on here, and again, it's just another example of uh, holding our folks accountable because we've got work to do. And again, I'm so happy that you all have been on the ground doing all this good work and highlighting and finally showing. I'm in Missouri. This is Show Me State, and so many of our folks now are seeing this climate catastrophe. They're seeing the repercussions of all this fossil fuel and oil rigs and now we're data centers from all this AI nonsense, right? And so, no, I continue to try to stay up to date, but also tragically, we have so many of these nightmares that are just popping up every single day, all
Right.
across the
Well,
country.
if you can answer, if AI is so smart, why can't they figure out how to power it? Anyway, go ahead. Mike Hurst.
Standing ovation, my brother. Stand, mic drop.
Yeah. Go ahead,
And
Mike.
Hartzell, I would like you to be in touch with Vina Colley, who's one of our regular contributors here, because she is unfortunately, she and her family have been victims of this ongoing Piketon nuclear react accident, and it's something that she can talk to you about firsthand.
And it's so often it affects our most marginalized folks, right? And it just perpetuates a generational cycle uh, of of just awfulness. So I appreciate that. Thank you
So,
so
Thank
so
much.
I
you.
will put you in touch with Lina Colley, Hartzell.
Please do. Yes. And with Steve Caruso. Mike Hurst, did you want to say something? Then,
Yeah, thank you, Sluggo. As I hear Hartzell speaking about the bombs and ICE and the horrendous misuse of our scarce resources for militarism and abuses, it reminds me of President Eisenhower saying that, the military-industrial complex was robbing us blind, and for every bomber constructed and every bomb dropped, it costs us a school or some other facilities. So you're very well versed in that. And then it also reminds me of Eisenhower's successor, John F. Kennedy, when he talked about a torch being passed to a new generation. And we had a discussion last week about the need to have some of the people who are kind of old and out of touch to get out of the way for a new generation. That's not saying that all old people are out of touch or that all young people are in touch. We certainly wouldn't want to have Fuentes in Congress, uh, or we
okay.
would want to have Bernie Sanders out. But Hartzell, if you could just say a few words about, how your vision for public service evolved.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
you
I
know
just want
what?
to point out,
Oh
Hartzell,
yeah, go ahead, go
I'm
ahead.
on New Year's Eve. You will celebrate with everybody else my 80th birthday, and so you can. I'll be headed out the door the next day. So go ahead.
You know, I keep telling our folks though, because I get this a lot on the trail. You know, we're just so happy that a young person running. Listen, my victories are your victories, and your victories are mine. From the civil rights era and
Okay.
before to what I do now, we share in these victories. And Mike Hirsch, I want to, even touch a little bit about what you said about Eisenhower, because initially it wasn't just the military-industrial complex. In the initial draft, it actually mentioned a congressional military-industrial complex. So because look who continues to fund the war machine with the power of the purse, right? It is our Congress people. So again, I have to, as we have democracy backsliding, it is so important now that we need to have our folks with moral clarity and a vision. We can't backslide either. In fact, we have to stay strong and continue to grow and build our power. So again, it is a policy rooted in liberation. And by liberation, I mean being free and being fed. We all have health care, housing, a guaranteed job, the right to live, the right also to rest. All of these things are ours. The right to make sure that we can have an education that is built on knowledge, not on human capital. And on top of all these things I'm talking about, we can't forget about the calling out of these cartoon villains that we need to also take our power back from. It's holding them accountable. The reason why we don't have universal health care is because big pharma and those private insurance companies are making a dollar off of our deaths. And we need to
Okay.
call that in. So that means we have to bring people in, and we need to have hearings, the full weight and bully pulpit of a congressperson is what I'm going to bring to make sure that we
Okay.
continue to be free and fed.
Good for you, man. Good for you. Keep up. Really good. Carlos Sand, I wondered, Mike, you invited someone on from PNHP, Universal Healthcare.
Yeah,
Also,
we rolled her over to next week because
okay,
we're
and
so
then
jammed up.
I want to get into the Donald Trump dementia syndrome. Dr. Nancy and Dr. Ruth, we have two medical experts here. Hartzell, thank you again. You're
Is
fantastic.
Sluggo, we have Carla has her hand up and that she might have a
Yes, go
question
ahead,
for
Carla,
Hartzell.
please, and then we're going to delve into the deep depths of the mind of Donald Trump. Go ahead, Carla.
Yes, Carla in Minnesota, and I'll make it quick. Back when you were talking about nuclear, I am a member of Nuke Watch in Wisconsin, and they're covering Minnesota, and we're having some issues with Monticello plant, and maybe you'd like to have them on your program at some point because
Yes, next week, the second hour at 6 o'clock Eastern, and Hartzell, you're invited, of course. We're going to do a deep dive on nuclear with the great Arnie Gunderson. And also with solar, there's an incredible article circulating about how Africa is being solarized with no government help because given the economics of kerosene and the heating and powering small houses throughout Africa, you have more than 100 million people who are shopping for solar panels with no government involvement and no grid and no utility. And so we're in the middle of a phenomenon here where an entire continent is going to go green and not ever never even build a grid. It's phenomenal. And so Arnie Gunderson has a bunch of other issues with us, and we're going to be in the second hour next week. We will devote to renewable energy and to fighting nuclear. And please bring the folks in from Minnesota. I spent many, many months fighting the Prairie Island nuke. And of course, the American wind energy industry was essentially born in 1994 over the fight over Prairie Island. So thank you for that. We will do that, Carla, next week. Does anyone else want to
Thank
jump
you.
in? But go ahead, Carla. Does somebody have something to say? Did I interrupt somebody? No. Okay. So I do want to very quickly, we're talking about ICE and the Border Patrol assault in Charlotte. In Worcester, Massachusetts. I want to acknowledge, I want to try and get this woman on, Ital Haksiaj. I'm sure I butchered her name. She's of Albanian descent. She's a city councilor in Worcester. She has been attacked in public and legally for interfering with an ICE attempt to kidnap a citizen of Worcester. Ital Haksiaj, Haxiaj, I believe. She's written up in the New York Times today, and I want to acknowledge her, see if we can get her on in a week or two, because there was also a judge in Wisconsin who was indicted for helping people avoid being kidnapped by ICE. So we want to get these people on to definitely acknowledge them. I did want to say one thing, Hartzell, I don't know if he's still with us, but he mentioned an economic Bill of Rights. One thing we don't talk about very much in this country is the economic Bill of Rights that was drafted by Franklin Roosevelt in 1944. He introduced it in a national radio broadcast. It should have been adopted into our Constitution, but he couldn't get it in. But it would have been another 10 amendments or so guaranteeing, the first Bill of Rights guarantees our civil liberties and our rights to speak. The economic Bill of Rights guaranteed everyone the right to a decent livelihood. And I want to reintroduce at some point a discussion of the Franklin Roosevelt's economic Bill of Rights, because that's absolutely critical. Okay, Mike, did you want to say something? We're going to jump into Donald Trump. He's being visited today by the Saudis. My buddy David Saltman and I have discussed that basically they're setting up a real estate office in the White House, what's left of the White House. I think they're going to put a sign out, Trump and Saudi and Sons real estate, and their first big project, of course, will be Gaza arms. Mike Hirsch, go ahead, and then let's jump into the dementia issue with Donald Trump, please.
Yeah, I've invited our friend Ray McClendon to speak to us
Oh,
about
Ray.
uh, I'm trying to think of the deceptive apparent reopening of the criminal charges against Trump for trying to rig the election in Georgia. But Ray has some inside information on that. If you're ready to, yeah, here he comes.
And Ray, before you jump in, I just got a really amazing op-ed that was published in Georgia on the Vogtle plant. And I would actually like to get, if we could, one or both of the new public service commissioners in the next week or two to discuss the economics of Vogtle, because Georgia is royally screwed unless that's dealt with. So that's a side effect. If you go ahead, please.
Sure, sure. Well, Mike called me about this, and the headline is that this is really a scam. Let me give you the background about Pete Skandalakis. Skandalakis is the executive director of the Prosecutors Council for the state of Georgia. And essentially what that is a state agency that has affiliate oversight responsibility with all of the district attorney's offices in the counties across the state. And they can step in on behalf of the state of Georgia to make sure that policies and procedures and the laws of the state of Georgia are being followed. We have very specific, we meaning Communities United for Justice, have very specific involvement with Scandalakis. As you will go back and recall, when these charges were first being reviewed by the grand jury, one of those who was a part of the grand jury and was a target was Burt Jones, the he's running for governor now, lieutenant governor, and was running for lieutenant governor at the time. Fonnie Willis went to a campaign function for Burt Jones's opponent. Burt Jones seized on that and filed a complaint against Fonnie Willis saying that she should be recused. Once she was recused, the state prosecutor's council and Scandalakis was supposed to then identify another attorney to then review the case as related to Burt Jones. And remember, you had these other 18 or so potential defendants. And Burt Jones was separated out, and Scandalakis was responsible for being the one to identify a new prosecutor. He dragged it on for months. We found out that because he's a Republican and is with a lot of the folks that are MAGA, not just that he's a Republican, but that he was in those circles. He had let it be known to a lot of people privately that it really wasn't going anywhere. We ended up filing a civil suit. First of all, we did a Freedom of Information Act request, asking him who he had talked to see if anyone was interested, because the word we were getting was that he was representing that he couldn't find anybody to take the case. We then found
exactly what case is this, Ray? What case?
This was the big RICO case that Fonnie Willis was bringing against Trump and 18 other defendants. Burt Jones was a part of that fraudulent electors case, along with everything that Trump tried to do to overturn the election here in Georgia.
So this was a prosecution. This was a prosecution aimed at Donald Trump and company for the attempt to steal or to strong arm. Remember Donald Trump's phone calls to find the ballots that he needed to win Georgia in the 2020 election.
Correct. And as you will recall, like in other states, there were these fake electors. Burt Jones was one of them. And but because Fonnie Willis had donated to and attended a campaign function of his opponent, she had to recuse herself from the case and her entire office. So that meant that triggered Scandalakis having to find a new prosecutor. He dragged his feet, never found a prosecutor. He represented that he couldn't find anybody. We knew of several district attorneys across the state who were interested in pursuing this. He never talked to them, as far as we know, and continued to block moving forward with Burt Jones's case. Subsequently, we went into court to force him, compel him to move forward with this. The judge unfortunately ruled in his favor, and that went away. But a part of our process of going through that case is how we became very intimately aware of the fact that he had no intention of moving forward on this case or any of the other cases. So this was 18 months ago. Uh, so when then the of course everybody knows what happened with the defendants that were indicted, and then the unfortunate situation with Fannie Willis and one of the people in her office and how then she was recused on the entire case. That whole case then by the judge was given over to Scandalakis to come up with someone else. Again, beyond Burt Jones, he was put back in the same situation he was with the
Okay.
lieutenant governor.
So
So
where
the
do we
point of
stand
all
now?
of this, the bottom line is that we know what his sympathies are. We know that he only did this because he was facing a Friday deadline by the judge to do something. And so he named himself
Oh my
when we
God.
know that we already know what his proclivities are for dealing with this, and it's not in a way that should give us optimism that anything with this case is moving forward.
So basically, this is an attempt now, and this guy appointed himself. Well, at least he's not shy to basically bury the prosecution against Donald Trump that arose from Trump's fraudulent attempt to strong arm the vote in Georgia in
You're absolutely
2020.
right.
Very interesting, Ray. Very interesting and very important. We thank you for that update. Please do join us next week for this discussion in the second hour on Plant Voctal. And I want to mention that we're at the top of the hour here. This has been an hour of the Green Grassroots Emergency Election Protection Coalition Zoom call. Thank you, Steve Caruso, for engineering. So many other people for
Let me
participating.
just say one final quick thing. I
Please,
have more
please, yes.
confidence in Nevada and the Supreme Court decision in Nevada that they're going to reopen their fake electors case than anything that's going on in Georgia. That's where we should have our attention.
Can I just jump in and ask?
Please, please.
This RICO case was a really big deal. And it really does. It's funny because I was listening to a report on this on NPR, and they're not talking about it in the way you are. Unfortunately, Ray, they're acting as if I can't pronounce his name, but
Scandalakis.
Scandalactus is actually some kind of a good faith player, and we know he isn't. But I wanted to ask you, isn't it true that something that did come out as a result of Fannie Willis's RICO case was the irregularities in Coffee County? Was that part of what came out? The coffee.
Yes, one of the people that was indicted was associated with Coffee County and the
And
irregularities. They gave access to their voting machines
exactly.
to the
I thought that
Republican
that
Party.
was an important thing to bring out here, that
Yes,
they received a way of actually getting into voting machines and changing the programs. So it is a what Biden would say an effing big deal. So anyway, thank you, and
sure.
let's continue this conversation. We've got Ruth Strauss and others. Harvey, do you want me
Yeah,
to?
well, I just want to mention that this is a big deal. Thank you for pointing that out, Mila. And I think that they really should have appointed Jeffrey Epstein as a special prosecutor here. Would have been certainly appropriate. But let's come back to what we're going to do now is go through this way. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it for this
Whoa, whoa, wait,
clarification. So go ahead.
wait.
We're going to move with Dr. Ruth, Heidi, and Tammy at 3:15 Pacific time, 6:15 our time. I'm in New Jersey right now. We're going to have a special half hour on electromagnetic frequencies to do a special program, and then at 6:45 Eastern time, we're going to go into the mind and psyche of what's left of Donald Trump. We with our two medical experts. Ruth, I hope you can.
But yeah, I wanted to say something to Ray. I am so glad, and Harvey and Mylan, Steve, and anybody who got Ray on here, I am so glad you're on this call because I am so, I don't consider myself politically naive, but here I was listening and thinking, oh, nobody's going to take that job. Oh, isn't it wonderful that this guy is going to step in when nobody else will do it? And here you are telling us, it's a lot worse than we could ever imagine. Is there anything we can do?
Unfortunately, not that I know of. Again, we have fought this guy, and that's the reason I wanted to give you that background. We have fought this guy in court. Um, and in my view, and I hope I am wrong, but I'm in my view, there's a snowball's chance in hell that he would, when he wouldn't do anything in the Burt Jones situation, that he would step in to proceed against the President of the United States and all of his comrades. So I don't see any forward movement. I think he took the case, as Harvey said, to bury it.
Right. And his name sounds like Scandal as pronounced by Sly and the Family Stone, right?
Scandal Lacus.
Scandalacus. It sounds like a rap song. Of course. Anyway, go ahead. Thank you for that. Heidi and then Jamie. Thank you, Dr. Ruth. And please stay with us into the next hour because we want to talk with our medical experts about Donald Trump. Heidi, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Ray if he knows how, if Daniel Blackman has been involved with this at all. He's somebody.
Daniel
No,
Blackman.
Blackman's focus has been on the environmental issues and energy issues, and I think that's going to continue to be his focus leading into 2026. So I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard anything about him being involved in this area.
Well, if he can snag that an extra seat there on the PSC and get us a majority, that would be a world changer. So we want to talk
The
about that.
challenge, I mentioned this last week, the challenge is that Blackman lives in the same district with Peter Hubbard, who just won.
Oh, okay.
And Peter Hubbard will be up in 2026. So there would be some logistical maneuvering that would have to go on for him to identify another seat. Of course, he could run against Peter in the runoff, but we don't need a circular firing squad in the primary going forward.
No. But your state is about to be completely bankrupted, and it needs to be dealt with. It's horrendous.
Oh, well, yeah, Vogel is a big issue, but data centers are just as huge an issue here.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to talk about with, and I'll see if I can get Hubbard on. We were closer to Hubbard than we were to Alicia Johnson. We'll see if we can get Hubbard to come on.
Okay, that would be great. Wonderful. Thank you. Tammy Wilson, and then Mike again. Tammy? Or is it Jamie? I got a hand there, and you're unmuted.
Tammy, go ahead, please.
She doesn't seem to be there.
Okay, well,
Mike, go ahead.
Well, we'll give her a couple seconds, but Ray, would it be helpful if people spread the word on social media that this is a cover-up, not an investigation? And, this is just another part of the overall Trump cult criminality and cover-up schemes.
Yeah, yes. This is along the same lines as Trump and what he's doing with the Justice Department and U.S. Attorney's Office. You put in people that are friendly, and then expect them to do what loyalists are expected to do. And so there needs to be pressure to bring this out to light, because unfortunately the national media just put out a headline, which was a deceiving headline. as someone said earlier, that, oh, this is great, it's moving forward. No, it's not great. This was just a way of complying with the judge's order, but not doing anything to move it forward.
That's amazing. Truly.
Yeah, and Tammy, don't worry about your video. Please just ask your question if you would.
All right, I guess she's not there. Ray, is there anything else? It's always great to have you.
No, we're good. Thanks.
Okay, so we will. Why don't you, if someone writes an article about this from Georgia, we can put it into the network.
Okay.
And that would be the best way to do it. I can't believe this guy appointed himself. I mean, that's good. That's like having a Ghislaine Maxwell appointing herself to investigate the Jeffrey Epstein case. Yes. Wait. We had a rise there from Tammy. Apparently, she raised wants to speak, but I don't know what to do here. Oh, okay. Thank you, Ray. Always great. As I say, hopefully we'll see you next week in the second hour. So we have upcoming Camilla Reese. If you're on the line here, please let us know. We have upcoming.
Yeah, yeah, she's here. And also we have our friend from Food and Water Watch for a quick rundown of a Maryland legislative initiative. And Tammy is unmuted. So Tammy, if you could just go ahead and say your piece, please. Go ahead. If you're talking, we can't hear you. You're unmuted, but I guess we'll have
All
to
right.
move on.
Yeah, go
Sorry
ahead.
about that.
Food and Water Watch. And Camilla, when you're ready to go, we're going to do our half hour with you. I think you were bringing someone with you to talk, and we're going to do a half hour session on that. And then after that, at 6:45 Eastern through 7:20, 3:45 Pacific through 4:20, we're going to talk about Trump and dementia. So please do that. Okay, go ahead, Mike, with Food and Water Watch, please.
Yes, Food and Water Watch is one of the most amazing, effective organizations that I know of. They're steadfast in protecting our food, our water, our environment from toxins, from poisons, from corporate efforts to rip us off and feed us unhealthy food and poisoned water. And here in Maryland, we have legislation called the Renew Act, which will look into the costs of what the fossil fuel corporations are imposing on the residents of Maryland. And we're hoping that this will blaze a trail for other states because we all know that the federal government clogged up with the Trump cult Republicans. We're not going to get a lot done on the national level, unfortunately, for 2 years at least, maybe 3.5 years. But the states can step forward and move ahead. So I'd love to hear that discussion. If you could go ahead, Jamar Lloyd, and I hope I pronounced your name right, Jamar. Thank you for being here.
Hi, how are you doing today? Thank you for having me.
Okay.
So yeah, I just basically wanted to give a quick kind of rundown of what the Renew Act was, or what it is, and how we are fighting to get it passed. Um, so earlier this year during this legislative session, the Renew Act came as a two-part bill. The first part would have had us study, how much damage has been done and caused by by fossil fuel companies. Looking into the top 40 companies which operate here in Maryland. Um, because they have contributed the most to climate change, more than any other industry has. Um, the second part of that bill would be a mandate, causing them to pay into Maryland's Climate Mitigation Fund. And this was to fund projects like building climate shelters, building floodgates, um, updating AC and heating pumps in public schools and other public buildings. As we've seen, there was a lot of heat deaths over the summer. Folks will be really cold this winter. So it's supposed to be a very snowy winter as well. So we want to make sure that our infrastructure is ready for all that. We saw record heat and record flooding over the summer. And Maryland really needs the funds to be able to address these issues. And the Renew Act is how we plan to do that. Um, the bill was amended to just be a study this past February. and it did pass through the General Assembly with flying colors. Um, Both the House and the Senate, they wanted this. We know that we need this funding. So yeah, it passed through with a supermajority, which is why we were so kind of taken aback when Governor Moore vetoed the bill. He did veto a number of study bills, including like reparations study bills and then the Renew Act study bill. We've been working very diligently over the summer and throughout this fall to build power for a veto override. Um, we've been calling in to different offices, different legislators around the state, some of whom didn't even know that the bill was vetoed until they got a call from us and our volunteers about it. We've been knocking doors very heavily in Senate President Ferguson's district, because we know that he is the one that could make this veto override move. So we've been doing call-ins, we've been petitioning in his district very heavily, passing around flyers and things like that.
Can you put a link to the actual bill in the chat, please?
Yeah, I can find one.
Please, so we can know what the bill actually
Yeah,
says.
Sluggo, I'll dig that up. But go ahead, Jamar.
All right, awesome, awesome. So yeah, we I've been working very diligently to get that override passed this coming January. We're hoping that with the bill passed, we can still complete the study within the proposed timeline, which we before December of 2026. And in 2027, we can put another bill out, which would actually call for the mandate for them to pay into this fund. And so, yeah, that's kind of just the general kind of
That's
overview.
great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Jamar, if you could stay with us for another, we're gonna do a half hour here on EMF.
Hmm.
If you can either stay with us or come back next week and give us a deeper exposition of this, or both, it would be great.
Hmm.
Okay, it's a really powerful and important stuff, and we want to get into it. But I have promised Camilla Reese this half hour for a designated, and if you can listen in on
Hmm.
EMF, that would be great. It's great to meet you,
Hmm.
and please put the link to that into the chat. Okay.
Oh, yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Sandy Bozenius, can we call on you after Camilla gives her presentation? Would that
Are
be
you
all
ready for me? No.
right? Can you wait a half hour?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Wonderful, because I do want you to hear Camilla Reese's presentation. Okay, Camilla Reese, and everyone, this is about electromagnetic frequencies and the developments that are very, very important that are happening now. Camilla, are you there?
I am.
Can we put you on camera?
Sure can.
Steve, can you put Camilla Reese and do you have someone else with
Yay.
you, Camilla?
Hold on just a minute. Yeah, Scott McCullough is here just a minute.
Okay, I'm going to give you an introduction. We're going to use this as a separate show, but anyone on the GREEP call is welcome to raise your hand and participate in this discussion. This presentation will last a half hour. Okay?
Both you and Scott can turn your cameras on, please. That'd be helpful. Thanks.
Yeah, I did. And Scott,
Okay. Okay, are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. We just
I'm
got to
going to
have
do an
Scott
intro,
on. There
folks, and oh, look at you. Okay, here we go. Ready? Hey, everybody, this is Harvey Sluggo Wasserman. This is the inaugural cruise of the Cruising to Solartopia show. This is a national show on environmental issues to be distributed nationwide through the Pacifica Radio Portal and other locations, including the Progressive Radio Network. We are engineered by Steve Caruso, co-hosted with Mike Hirsch, and our initial, and Milo Reeson and Tatanka Bricka. Our initial interview and guest is with Camilla Reese, who is one of the world's leading experts and leading activists on the issue of electromagnetic frequency. We'll join with her with Scott McCullough. This critical issue is now hitting a critical moment in terms of national legislation. In the 1990s, horrendous legislation was passed prohibiting local communities from even evaluating the installation of electromagnetic frequency towers. And I lived in a town in central Ohio where they put a tower right on the high school. God, and we were not allowed to raise health or other challenges. Now it's getting even worse. And Camilla Reese is really a great, great crusader on this issue. This is gonna be a half-hour show featuring her, Scott McCullough. We do have an audience of 60 or 70 people that will be raising questions as we go along. But welcome, Camilla and Scott, and all our listeners to Sailing with Solartopia, Sailing to Solartopia, and we're going to start with the EMF issue. Go ahead, Camilla, please.
Thank you, Harvey. Thank you for having us. So yes, we're here today to talk about a very urgent issue. The FCC has issued a notice of proposed rulemaking in support of its initiative that's called Build America, Eliminating Barriers to Wireless Deployments. That is exactly what they want to do. So as you mentioned, back in the 90s, actually 1996, in the Telecom Act of 1996, there was a Section 704 that preempted local governments influencing the siting of these towers and antennas on health or environmental grounds. And we were on your program before talking about a collaborative nationwide initiative called 704 No More, 704nomore.org. That is a legal, legislative, and grassroots advocacy effort to dismantle Section 704 and to restore individual rights to legal recourse, and which has basically not been possible. So anyone on the call who would like to join that effort, support that effort, go to 704 No More, and we welcome support. We need everybody. But then in the meantime, despite this 704,
What is the name of the website, Camilla, please?
704nomore.org.
The numbers, 704, and then more, MORE, with no space or period, .org.
That's right. That's right. And so, so that effort is in process. It's a legal, legislative, and grassroots effort. And in the meantime, the FCC has issued a notice of proposed rulemaking that would strip away all remaining rights that local communities have to influence these antennas, such as, related to zoning, aesthetics, historic preservation, whether if there was not a proven gap in service, that could justify new antennas. They're talking about taking everything away. And partly, I'm sure, because several cases have been won fighting these towers on these other grounds, including with the help of Scott McCullough, and an effort called Stop 5G, that's a part of Children's Health Defense, as is 704 No More. So now, these new rules, if they're passed, there's going to be no longer will there be public comment periods, no notifications of installations. Tower could go up right outside your home. No reviews whatsoever, including environmental reviews. No required setbacks of the infrastructure from a home or a school or a hospital. No influence on aesthetics grounds and how appropriate they are for the neighborhood. Let's see, no need to prove a gap in service. And basically, we're going to get constant surveillance, which ironically, when I read through these new proposed rules of the FCC, and read through the whole document, and there was not one mention of the need for these antennas for surveillance, but obviously that is really a driving force. Another thing that in this document, it said that they want to prevent local governments from even hiring outside experts to assess the exposures. And I mean, think about that. They're now going up into much higher frequencies. A new spectrum has been allowed, including going up into military frequencies that are used for weapons. And now they're saying that local communities can't even assess for the exposures. So it's
basically, the private industry wants to stick these towers everywhere and anywhere in the United States with zero local legal pushback or
that's
scrutiny.
right. That's
Is
what
that
they've wanted
correct?
all along.
And that's what, I mean, they have done everything they could to enable this densification, which I think has been planned.
That's a term, that's an important term, densification.
Yeah.
That means that these towers can go anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah.
There's no required setbacks. There's no required distance between towers. They even well, in my town, in Bexley, Ohio, they stuck the thing on a school, for God's sakes. And we had no legal right on health grounds to push back. And now it's worse. Is that what you're saying?
Right, that's right. And as Scott will tell you in a moment, we're talking about seeing antennas go up every couple of 100 feet. I mean, if you look back historically, the industry was supportive of exposure guidelines that only measured one form of risk, so that was in their favor. They didn't have to consider other like the frequent effects from the frequencies and then the subthermal effects. They have they have done everything they can to roll out this infrastructure, and now they're at the point where we're at the end game here, where we need to get the public involved. So before we go into these rules, which I'll turn it over to Scott in a moment, I just want to say two things that I want you to, when I read through this document, I saw that it kept using the excuse that these antennas, they needed to get the local governments out of the way, state and local governments out of the way to enable all this infrastructure because it was necessary for advanced telecommunications. Now, let me just make one thing clear to everybody listening is that this is not advanced telecommunications. This is advanced surveillance. This advanced telecommunications means fiber to the premises. It's always going to be faster because it's not a shared medium like wireless. It's more secure. It's far more energy efficient. There are many different grounds on which one can explain that the fiber to the premises, not wireless, is what is advanced communication. So they're deceiving. And in fact, I'll just tell you this one quote from the former head of the FCC, Tom Wheeler, who has stated in his testimony before Congress, he says, we must insist on future-proof technology, fiber. Wireless may be a last resort option in the most isolated areas, but it should not be a first resort for most of America. The focus must change to the choice of technology, in other words, hardwired fiber, et cetera, not subsidizing companies. In other words, the subsidizing of the carriers that is happening now. So they've been very disingenuous in claiming that wireless everywhere is actually advanced technology when it's really not true. It's advanced surveillance technology. And then the second thing I want to mention is in this document, they all kinds of commentary about how new infrastructure that is being modified has to look physically like the original infrastructure. They have to look physically like it, but no mention about the frequencies that are going to happen. And so, spectrum has been opened up for 5G and military frequencies that have been used around the world for weapons. And so here we are, where we are going to be vulnerable to all these frequencies. It's invisible. We won't know what's going on. And as Renette Senum, who is the former mayor of Nevada City, California, has said, they could slowly cook us, or they can take us out. It's a modern war without tanks and guns, and it's these frequencies they're planning to put everywhere, and completely unrestrained. So, I would like to turn it over to Scott and start with a question for Scott. Scott is a longtime telecom industry attorney who is now outside counsel for Children's Health Defense's 704 No More initiative and Stop 5G initiative. So, Scott, I'm wondering if you can tell me, or tell us, are there legitimate reasons why the telecom industry should be permitted to override local regulations and the will of Congress in granting local authority in the first place, simply because the regulations might slow down its antenna densification plans, to which millions of Americans object?
No, there's no reason. This is a threat to democracy. That's all it is. What's happened is folks in the local levels have figured out that this stuff is ugly and dangerous, and they're starting to uh, let their voices be heard. And some of the local jurisdictions have listened to them, and they have said no for many reasons. They can't say no based on health, but there are a list of other reasons why they can, and all of them are good reasons. Congress said that local jurisdictions are supposed to figure out the location these things are to go. They get to choose where towers are to be placed. And that means they can also choose where they are not to be placed, like on top of schools or right outside someone's home within feet of a child's bedroom window. Local jurisdictions have this authority, and now they're beginning to assert it. The Stop5G.org effort is starting to take hold. Other activists are also having their voices be heard. And so the industry is run to the FCC to kill local democracy, take it all out of the hands of local communities, and basically just let the industry put this stuff anywhere they want, any way they want, and do whatever they want.
So describe for us, Scott, if you would, the technicalities. What exactly is being installed, and what exactly is the litany of research that would tell us that it's not healthy?
Well, I'll let Camilla speak to the science because she's far better at it than I am. I'll only say that, the science is clear and the government has known about it for a very long time, that this radiation, just like all other forms of radiation, is hazardous to your health. It makes you sick, it gives you cancer, and it could kill you. Now, some are more sensitive than others, but I think all of us are going to succumb over time. I'll let Camilla in a minute speak to more. But, it's not just the environmental, including, by the way, all the birds, bees, and trees, which are just as susceptible to this stuff as we are. We hear stories all over the country where they put up a cell tower and, all the animals go away. Beekeepers, their beehives die. The wildlife disappears. Trees, if you look at some of the pictures of a cell tower, these smaller ones particular, that's been there a while, you'll see that the side of the tree that's right next to the tower is dying. So it's not just humans, it's also all of life. And that is because there is a biological response. Now, you ask, what kinds of towers are there? Well, the FCC wants to give a green light to every single kind of tower there is, whether it be the old style, big, really tall, couple 100-foot towers, or things like smaller facilities on buildings like schools, or what we call a small cell, which is a tower that's 50 feet or less, therefore closer to the ground, typically put along the street. These are the ones that are really popular in residential areas. People are waking up, and the next thing they know, there's people putting up this big, ugly metal tower right outside their house and right next to the sidewalk, pointing this stuff right inside your house or your kid's bathroom or bedroom window. Those are called small cells. The commission wants to take local jurisdiction away for every single kind of facility there is.
So to answer your question, Harvey, more about the science, there is so much evidence. And of course, the industry downplays it. They say they would need more, there's need for more research. It's inconclusive. It's just a bunch of baloney. There are thousands and thousands of studies showing, comprehensive studies and reviews showing the risk for all kinds of effects on the biological systems of the body, on the organs of the body, at the cellular level, at the molecular level, DNA. So I'll just say that we published, Richard Lear and I did a paper, it came out last February, called the safety of wireless technologies, the scientific view. And it was that we went in depth into the US Navy report from 1971 that reviewed the science at that time before there even was a cell phone industry. It was science from military and industrial uses of the radio frequency radiation and international studies, a lot from Russia. And so they came out with a report that showed association between these kind of electromagnetic fields and a wide range of illnesses, including 23 of today's fastest growing chronic illnesses were in that Navy report in 1971. So then after the Navy report, there have been similar extensive reviews by the Defense Intelligence Agency, NASA, US Army, US Air Force, NIH. I could go on. So there's plenty of research, including from our own government. So they turned a blind eye to this. The industry and the regulators turned a blind eye so that they could roll out all this infrastructure for multiple reasons. Initially, I thought it was just for commercial financial reasons, but it's actually much more nefarious kind of a plan, I think, that's unfolding before our midst. So the
It's
radiation
utterly horrifying.
I mean, not only their illnesses associated with, but just the daily acute exposures are causing great cognitive effects. A lot of elderly people are thinking that they've got dementia, and they actually are sleeping next to a wireless router or a portable phone. I was on a summit on dementia this week, actually, talking about the similarities between the acute effects from these exposures and cognitive issues. And so it's in adults and as well as in children being impaired in schools with wireless technologies, with cell towers outside. So it's a very serious issue.
Yeah, it's
So
terrifying.
Can I speak to it like a little bit more specifically about the surveillance piece? I'm
Yeah,
sure
the
everybody's
surveillance
heard.
piece. And then I want to ask you very quickly, we'll go to Myla Reeson and Steve Caruso, but I want to ask, is there an alternative? If we're going to have an infrastructure, a world based on cell phones, the industry says towers are necessary, but you have, just like they say that nuclear power is necessary, you have alternatives. So I want to hear about them, but go
I
ahead,
think that
Scott.
there's going to be always, I don't think cell phones are going away, but all these antennas that they're putting up now are for data collection. This isn't needed. So what we need to do, the solution is that we need to do, like many other countries are doing today, many other countries, some almost 100% fiber. We need fiber to the premises. Right now in this country, we have a lot of fiber to office buildings, but we need fiber to the homes, fiber and then after that, you use that for most of the data communication. I want to give you a quote actually from Tom Wheeler, again, who was chairman of the FCC. He said, if I can find it, here we go. The FCC has spent over 40 billion over the last decade in high-cost subsidies for wireless that have failed to deliver the goal of universal access to high-speed broadband. And in contrast, he says, an FCC analysis shows a one-time cost of the same amount, approximately 40 billion, could reach 98% of locations in the US with fiber to the premises. In other words, true high-capacity broadband. So, it's a mix. It's going to be a mix. But this proposal, to steamroll over local governments' rights and just give themselves the right to put up antennas anywhere is not the right approach.
It's ridiculous. It's well, so why are they doing it? Scott, are you saying they're doing it because
That's a
they
good
don't want
question. That's the
the
million
fiber
dollar
because
question.
they don't
They're
want the
doing it
fiber
for two
because
reasons.
of why? Why
They're
don't they
doing
want
it for
the
two
fiber?
reasons. One, the wireless companies just want to provide home internet. It's a lot less capital intensive to run fiber to a tower and then go wireless the last mile. Problem is, it's much slower, it's much less secure. Wired is far better for at home. Look, we all use wireless. we need it for mobility, but the kinds of features and functions and services that they talk about in this FCC order, most of them can be done over wired connections too. Very few require what we call mobility. Here's why, the other reason why they are doing it, and one of the reasons why the federal government is trying to get all the opposition out of the way. I'm sure everybody's heard all the horror stories about facial recognition and how it misidentifies people and all the discriminatory results that are built into the algorithms. Well, now we're using AI at much even faster. These antennas actually have the ability, the small ones that are within 750 feet of each other, is creating what we call a hex net, are able to identify people that are moving around in the area that they cover, even if they don't have a cell phone. It can see your image. It can basically see how the radiation bounces off of you. It can analyze that. It can identify you. And then they use AI to figure out who you are. Well, if you think facial recognition with cameras is a horror show, well, just think of what they're going to do with this kind of stuff. This is basically to impose a surveillance and control state, which is why the government is so behind it. Now, the industry, they just want to save money. They want to say that they're providing high-speed broadband to you, when in fact it's second level, low quality service in comparison to the wired fiber connections that we know will work, that we know will last a long time, that we know you don't have to replace every 5 years. It has a much better capital and expense structure.
Unbelievable. It's a real parallel between the fight against nuclear power for renewable energy. But you guys are doing, very few people are thinking, we're really thinking this. We're very honored to have you dealing with this for us. This will go to WGRN in Columbus, Ohio, thanks to Steve Caruso and Tim Chavez. And, this is just mind-boggling.
This is
Myra and then
radiation too.
Steve.
This is radiation. It's radiation. All of the reasons that you oppose nuclear energy, this is radiation too. It's just not
Scott,
ionizing.
Scott,
Myra and then Steve, please. Yeah. Thanks, Mike.
So
Myra.
the call letters for that station in Columbus, I think you said WBAI, which is
No, WGRN.
oh, right, WGRN.
Okay.
So, at any rate, I am wondering if you can connect some dots here, and name some names. And when we're talking about this dystopian um, uh, surveillance state and our big tech overlords, I wonder if you can tell us if you know of the role that Peter Thiel and the company Palantir have in all of this. And of course, there's Peter Thiel's protege, our Vice President, J.D. Vance. And when you were talking about how this exposure to this 5G can actually create some kind of a dementia state, I'm wondering whether J.D. Vance could possibly, this is a kind of a joke, but is he putting some kind of a tower near our dear leader, the president, so that he can, so that, I know, Harvey, you want to talk about dementia later, and I was thinking,
We'll talk about that convention. Yeah,
but
this is
my goodness, really is this possibly some kind of a plot to give to amplify the signs of dementia that Trump is already exhibiting? I know that's pretty far-fetched. I just wanted to throw it out there.
Well, but this is a critical moment here because if we're seeing these kinds of side effects, millions of people were killed by the fallout from the atomic testing, which Trump wants to resume, and now we're seeing a similar assault on the American psyche. How serious is this really? And by the way, we're down to 7 minutes. This has been absolutely fascinating.
So can you connect it to Palantir and
Peter Thiel?
The data that is collected through the cellular network is all sent to a central repository where it is stored and analyzed and accessible to the application service providers and Palantir and others like them. Amazon wants this. Microsoft wants this. All of the big tech companies want this, not only because of the government surveillance and control, but also because they can make a better profile about you and track you and monetize the data so as to control your buying habits, for example. They know what ad to serve you. So, yes, this is just a cartel of interests that are trying to institute this surveillance network that strips you of your individuality and your rights and monetizes it to your disadvantage.
Unbelievable. Steve Caruso, then Lynn Feinerman, Dave Saltman, and Tatanka.
Yeah, I remember years ago it was a big deal when AT&T had their Nexus caught up with the CIA or some government agency, and people just blew their lids on that. And now, after that, we had the Bush administration install RFID monitors along the freeway, exits, on ramps, and on the freeway itself, constantly monitoring God knows what. I mean, those things can read 17,000 or more chips a second. So then you go, Camilla said that the ideal thing would be to go to fiber optic. Yes, that's great. But also, localized Wi-Fi calling. If you have fiber optic running to the house, you can have a low-fi or a low signal Wi-Fi that wouldn't be that intrusive like a high-powered 5G thing, whatever, doing your cell call. I have a 900 megahertz phone in the house. It's a very low powered thing. So you could still have that.
I may want to
Go
talk to you
ahead.
about your DECT phone and your
Okay.
Wi-Fi, but the important distinction here is that you have chosen to bring that into your life. You have
Right.
chosen to use
Right.
it. Any exposure you have is voluntary. The
Right.
problem with these towers is that they are being put up against opposition and
Right.
over objection, and the exposure that you receive from them is without your informed consent. It is
So
involuntary exposure.
we've kind of normalized through all this government intrusion into our lives. Okay. It's been creeping up for years and years. All the journalists, watching this in the past is saying, this is happening, this is happening. It's like a horror movie come out of some kind of science fiction thing.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's existing in Israel. I mean, in Gaza, this is what they're using. Microsoft backed out, and apparently Google's still on track with this stuff and supplying Netanyahu with data to attack the Palestinians.
Okay,
This is
let's go to. Go
not
ahead.
something that isn't happening. It's happening right now on our planet. Okay.
And in our towns and counties. Lynn Feinerman, Dave Salmon, we're actually down to 3.5 minutes here.
So I want to
2.5, but
before we go to the questions, I want to make sure that that Scott has a chance to talk about the timeline and the urgency of this issue. And has the 30 days begun for comments, and what is the process that's unfolding very quickly?
And I'll be really brief. The clock for formal comments has not started. We expect that to occur sometime probably next week. What that means is that people can, have a little bit of time, but they're going to need to have their views known if they want to try to tell the FCC to come to its senses.
unbelievable.
People
So,
can
and you
comment
put,
now. They can comment now, and they will be able to for about the next 45 days.
and give us again your website so that people can hear it on the radio
So
as
you
well.
go to Children's Health Defense, and I'm going to put a link in there to a petition. If people could sign and share. Also, you can learn about the 704 No More Coalition if you'd like to join. Ways that you can donate for the legal support the legal work and lobbying. We're really ramping up this effort, and we need everybody's support. So I'll
Okay.
put it in the chat.
Okay. Go ahead, Lynn Feinerman, real quick, and then Dave.
Yes. First of all, I want to thank, I just want to thank Camilla and Scott. This is critical, really, really important work. And I'm very grateful to both of you for doing it. I also wanted to follow up with what Mila said about Palantir. Palantir is the corporate network that is the closest to the military in the United States and worldwide. And it does everything. I mean, it doesn't just collect the data. And I'm wondering, this is my question, if it can, if this technology can measure radiation to people who are not even on its grid, can it also function as a weapon if the military decides and Palantir decide that that's the next step in their surveillance game?
This technology could be deployed as a offensive anti-personnel weapon. All that would be required, and it's in the 5G and will be in the 6G standards, all that would be required, I'm sorry if I get too technical, is for them to amp up what's called the modulation and pulsation, and to increase the energy. That very quickly, it can become almost disabling to any individual.
Unbelievable.
I know somebody who was recently disabled by it.
Oh my God. Dave Suppleman?
There is a way to fight this. And Harvey, you pointed out the similarity between this and the anti-nuclear movement. And I'm referring to Lovejoy's nuclear war, which was setting up of a tower in a local community. And our mutual friend, Sam Lovejoy, one evening went and knocked that tower down. And he immediately turned himself into the police. And he was put on trial. And he pleaded self-defense. And his chief witness was his 8-year-old daughter, and he was found innocent. And this destroyed, Harvey, you'll bear me out on this, this destroyed the nuclear movement in the Northeast, led to the Clamshell Alliance, and basically single-handedly was the key to destroying the nuclear power industry for many, many years until its renaissance today.
Well, that's an interesting one. Of course, there was only one tower in the town of Montague. In this case, we're talking about how many towers are we talking about here, Camilla?
Oh, I don't know if I'm up to speed, but I would say at least 150,000 cell towers and lots of antenna farms, antenna clusters, single poles. I don't know those numbers offhand. Maybe you just got.
So they're radiating all of us. I got to say, this has been the Sailing for Solartopia radio show. We've featured Camilla Reese and Scott McCullough on the EMF issue, absolutely terrifying. Thank you, Steve Caruso, Tim Chavez, Mike Hirsch, Myra Reese, and so many others. This is an incredibly important issue, and we will be back doing this again. This is an integral half-hour broadcast to go out throughout our radio land. Thank you both so much. Thank you, everybody, on the Green Grassroots Emergency Election Protection Call for sticking with us. Again, sign off with Camilla. Please give us the website for everybody to go to take action on this horrifically important issue.
Yeah, you can go to 704 No More and get involved there. And there's a petition that I put in the chat on this issue of the FCC proposed rules.
Well, thank you for that. And Tim, I hope you were able to edit this down. If there's any problems, call me, Steve. This was very successful. Very much appreciate both of you. This is incredibly powerful stuff. On our GREEP call, we still have 66 people. This is the station that the website with the longest attention span of anybody. We will come back with you both, Scott McCullough and Camilla Reese. Thank you very, very much. I got a couple of
Tatanka
hands
had
here.
his hand up.
Tatanka, Heidi, and Patricia, and then we want to talk about for our last 20 minutes. We have a session with Dr. Ruth and Dr. Nancy on Trump's dementia. Go ahead, please. Tatanka, go ahead. Sandy Bozenius also had a hand.
Yes.
Tatanka, are you there?
Yeah, I'll pass right now. Listen to
Okay,
the other
thank
people.
you. Heidi Vertauer, Patricia, and Sandy Bozenius.
Yeah, I wanted to know if there's any chance that these kinds of radiation or signal frequencies could be like the ones that we were seeing in Cuba or wherever those places are, where the ambassadors were getting headaches and nosebleeds and all that sort of stuff.
Well, it's exactly the same kind of radiation. Dr. Beatrice Gollum from UC San Diego wrote a paper on that, on the Havana syndrome and comparing the effects that were happening to people there with the known science about the effects from radio frequency radiation. So I think since then it's been acknowledged as more widely that these people were probably being affected by microwaves, just like in the US Embassy in Moscow years ago, just like in other parts of the world in China. Yeah, these are weapons. These especially at the higher frequencies that we're going up into now, the 5G and beyond.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Thank you for that question.
And this is urgent. It's been called a hill to die on. It's a coup. It's blitzkrieg of antennas in our midst. We have to say no. We are allowing corporate entities to shape the quality of our lives and our health, but everything else, the aesthetics, and taking away our local rights that are the heart of democracy. So we need everybody to
It's
get
unbelievable.
involved.
It's horrifying.
Please
Thank
sign
you
the
for that.
petition.
Sandy Bozenius, you had a hand up.
Yeah. Yeah, this is Tammy Wilson. I was trying to talk on my computer. For some reason, you guys couldn't hear me. But if other people want to make comments to their presentation, they can go ahead because my comments weren't related to this topic.
Okay. Patricia, Mickey, and then I want to go to Dr. Ruth and Dr. Nancy to talk about Trump. Go ahead.
Oh, hi. I just wanted to mention that we had a group of activists years ago who tried very hard to stop the spread of these towers in San Diego. And we went to several city meetings, not just in San Diego, but in other communities close by. And I can vouch for what you're saying. They told us that according to some law that had been passed, they could not consider health considerations, which is mind-blowing.
Section 704, and that's why we've got the 704 No More initiative.
Yeah, they totally ignored everything we had to say. And also, Sluggo, I wanted to ask you if we will be able to ask a question that's not related to this still, or is this the end of the Zoom?
Well, we can squeeze it in real quick. Let me get Mickey Weeder here, and then you can ask your question, and then I want to
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to ask you if you have heard of the Election Truth Alliance, and we really, really need to help this group get a lot of traction.
Well, let's have them on next week. If you can track them down and put their contacts in the chat, that would be great.
Can I send you an email about them?
Yes, Solartopia@gmail. Send it also to Steve and to Mike Hirsch, to Myla, and to
I don't have any of their.
All right, go ahead. Send it to me. Solartopia@gmail.
Thank you
very much. Thank you.
There's one more important thing I'd like to say is that the 704 No More initiative is seeking plaintiffs. So if any of the people on the call know people who have been harmed by a cell tower, ideally a cell tower or other wireless exposure, not smart meters. But if people have been harmed or their farm animals have been harmed or their businesses have been harmed, we are looking for plaintiffs. So be in touch at info@704nomore.org.
All right, that's info@704nomore.org. Okay, let's go to Dr. Nancy and Dr. Ruth. Mickey Leader, you want a couple, just a minute, that's fine. And then Steve, if you could flash that list of dementia symptoms on the screen, that would be great. This has been so intense. I have to sleep for 8 hours after these calls. But go ahead if you can, Steve, put that up. Go ahead, Mickey, in real quick, and then we'll go to Nancy and Ruth.
Hi, this has been great what I was able to hear from it because I was on a different Zoom. Okay,
Yep.
a question. What do our elected officials say about? Are they aware? Are they sleeping on this? Do they have any idea what's happening? I mean, really, do we have a knowledge of how many of our, for instance, I'm in Rockland County, New York. I just sent all of this today to all the assembly people. And I tried to get their attention, but they're very busy. So bottom line
It's an untouchable subject. Scott, what do you have to say about that?
Well, many of the local jurisdictions, the zoning authorities, the conference of mayors, these local government associations have become aware of this. And they are just now mobilizing to file with the FCC to oppose it. They are also somewhat present when Congress is meeting. There's a bunch of bills that would do similar things that are going to be heard in the House just this Thursday. And yes, the local authorities are starting to mount resistance, but their attention span and their resources are limited.
Listen, we'll come back to this. Come back, the two of you join us next week. We'll give you a slot. We won't do another half-hour show, but we will come back in the first hour next week to revisit us and give us a political update. Mickey, if you'll join us, and Sandy, and we'll deal with this, okay? So we'll see you again next week on this for an action follow-up. Okay, I've been promising this the whole time. I saw yesterday, I stayed up till 5 in the morning, not unusual for me, but not common, watching a broadcast on the Daily Beast with a medical doctor about Donald Trump's alleged dementia. And we have two medical doctors on with us. And Steve, I sent you a sheet if you could possibly put it up. I took notes. There we go. Malignant narcissism leading to kakistocracy, meaning we have a demented guy in the White House who's been around so long that the people around him have sifted down to be the worst of the worst. A kakistocracy is a government by the very worst. Now, Nancy Naparko and Ruth Strauss, we've been hearing for decades about Donald Trump that he's demented or that he has dementia. We have had, by the way, if that's true, 3 of the last 6 presidents of the United States now in office have had dementia. Clearly, Ronald Reagan had dementia. Thankfully, Nancy Reagan I don't know where that noise is coming from. Thankfully, Nancy Reagan was vaguely sane. Clearly, Joe Biden was over the top, and now we have number 3 out of 6, Donald Trump. Nancy, can you, as a neurologist, give us an evaluation of Donald Trump's mental state?
I have a lot to say, but first, I always defend Joe Biden. If you go to Google the debate between Biden and Trump, and you look at the transcript, you will see that as much as the way he appears bothered people because of his stutter and his obvious Parkinsonism, that he spoke in complete thoughts, complete sentences compared to Trump. Look at the transcript before you ever call Biden demented again. I promise you, he's not demented. He simply has a handicap.
Okay.
But back to Trump. Number one, I'll skip my references. When Trump was a kid, he had an older brother, younger brother. They were sitting at the dining room table waiting for dad to come home from work. Mom put this big bowl of mashed potatoes on the table, and Donald was picking on the younger brother so badly that the older brother, who later became alcoholic and died, got so frustrated with Trump, he picked up the big bowl of mashed potatoes and dumped it over Donald's head. And apparently, to this day, if you try to discuss mashed potatoes, Donald goes nuts.
As opposed to the dance, the mashed potato.
A second point, when he was 6 or 8, I heard this on a political Zoom. The father-in-law of this woman on this Zoom was actually Fred Trump's best friend. And he would discuss that when he was visiting Fred Trump, Donald was 6 or 7 or 8, he would walk on the cars, jump on the cars. No one ever said no to him. And my real point in what I want to say is that Donald didn't start with a full deck of cards. He may have been inherited reasonable intelligence, but he did not use it. He became a bully and he avoided getting educated. When he went, he not only had to be sent to military school, but his first 2 years at Fordham University, some rich kids' school in New York, his GPA was 1.28. Entering college, his SAT score was 970, when entering freshman's average was 980. He was below average going into college. And Papa Trump had to pay $2 million to get him into UPenn to get that bachelor's degree. Oh, and by the way, he outright failed statistics, 0, F.
So, Steve, can you put that list, flash that list back on the screen? So, Nancy, as a medical expert here, this guy with the Daily Beast, and there are medical doctors out there who are saying that Trump is exhibiting a classic, clinically known symptoms of dementia that are
yes,
that include paranoia, mental cruelty, and invincibility, all the way down to the way he walks. Steve, can you put that sheet up by chance? There's been a lot of analysis.
Yeah, but that list is not dementia. It's something else. I mean, he is getting dementia. And I would say the 3 presidents were Reagan. A lot of us neurologists recognize that Reagan was demented when he first got elected. The other person was George Bush.
Well,
now Trump.
But here, let's look. This is a list that I took, and I made notes on this talk, which was at the Daily Beast with Dr. Larson, I believe his name is. Malignant narcissism is the diagnosis. It involves a lack of empathy, an inability to love, the paranoia, a belief in vulnerability, and an inability to be loved, hypomania, I'm not sure what that is actually, random narcolepsy, in other words, he's falling asleep all the time, a frontal temporal dementia, chronic venous deficiency, mini strokes. This doctor was positing that Donald has been suffering from strokes, a confabulation, which means he makes things up out of the clear blue, endless superlatives. We hear that. And of course, this resulting, I guess I didn't put the link to the Daily Beast chat in here, but pathological. He's wound up with a core of psychopaths who are,
Okay,
and so go ahead
Harvey,
now, comment, please.
Harvey, what you posted was from a psychologist, not a psychiatrist, by the way, and that is not a definition of dementia. That's a bunch of other things to call narcissism, and you can make up all sorts of labels. But dementia itself is not using big words, short sentences, not completing thoughts, and he clearly is doing all this, and all those other things are kind of secondary. I'm saying that he doesn't have a normal amount of brain to lose, and he's already losing it.
So
and I
how
mean that
dangerous?
seriously. I am not making that calling him names. I mean that totally seriously.
So if Steve correctly put up the right podcast that I saw from Daily Beast, the question then becomes for all of us, how dangerous is it to have this guy in the White House? There are two ways to remove him prior to election, which is by the 25th Amendment, which has to be approved by the cabinet, or by impeachment, which has to be done, which has never been done. It's not impeachment is the indictment. Removal, the Congress has never removed a president. So, but the question is, how dangerous is in psychological terms is it to have this guy, whatever his politics?
I will tell you what bothers me the most is he is being treated with kid gloves, the same, very much like the gentle parenting that is so popular now. No one says no to him. If he says something, people make it true. This is a spoiled brat who grew up, never learned to be motivated to understand anything. He simply believed that he would say things and people would make it true. And he's flip-flopping. Who did we call a flip-flopper? No one's ever flip-flopped as much as this guy.
Well, many of us are petrified that this guy has access to the bomb and could blow up the world. And people were afraid of Reagan. Reagan is the pinnacle of sanity, seems to me, compared to Donald Trump at this point in time. And his counterpart, Putin, is blowing up an entire country for no reason whatsoever. I mean, how do you justify what Putin is doing in Ukraine? And Trump is now killing people in speedboats in the Caribbean, with no evidence whatsoever. How far away are we from this guy pushing the button to blow up the world?
Not far. He is a bully, period. Uneducated bully.
He's already doing it in Portland and Charlottesville, North Carolina. He's blowing up the world.
Yeah, it's Charlotte, yes, and you're right about that. Mimi, and then Paul Newman, please. Thank you, Nancy and Dr. Ruth, if you want to jump in at some point. Although you're a cardiologist, that becomes an issue, actually. The cardiology becomes an issue as well. Mimi, and then Paul Newman. You guys get unmuted here.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, I got Paul.
Hi, this is Mimi. I'll wait to speak about something else, but
okay. Paul, go ahead.
Couldn't Trump possibly have untreated syphilis?
I don't know.
Good point.
I think this started so young. He's
Well,
always been like this.
Well, it's the male version of hysteria, right? Think about that.
Well, maybe he should have a hysterectomy. Sorry. Of course, if you watch South Park, that seems totally credible. Paul Newman, go ahead.
Yes, I just want to say I saw this movie called it's about Hermann Goering. It was called Nuremberg, and it just was released. Rami Malek plays a psychiatrist that analyzes Hermann Goering, And one of the big things about Goering was that he was a narcissist. Now, I have a choice to, spoil the ending, but I don't know.
Yeah, go ahead. I don't care.
Okay, it was a great movie, and you got to see it. But at the end, what happened was he ended up going on the radio station, and they asked him, they were interviewing him about his book on Hermann Goering. And he said Hitler and a lot of these people who are Nazis want power, and they're narcissistic. They want a lot of power, and they want to be in control. Boy, Nancy, you're looking at me so funny. Anyway, so anyway, he was saying that they asked him, "Are there people like this in the United States that are, are there Nazis still?" And he said, "Yes, there are." And he started to warn everybody about it on the radio, and they were going to continue the interview, but they cut it
Oh my
for
God.
some reason because it was a time where the Red Scare was happening, and I think they didn't want to hear anything anti-American. It didn't want to appear to be anti-American.
Well, I got to tell you, one woman who has been on the call, who's a
Dr.
friend of mine,
Ruth.
a wonderful woman, Ruthie, in San Francisco, her father translated for Goering at Nuremberg.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
I
then
interviewed
he
her
was in the
father.
movie.
He was the translator for Goering
Wow.
at Nuremberg. He was in Sackheim, a wonderful guy. And Ruthie, we'll have to have her on. But he was the actual translator for Goering at Nuremberg. It's
I
unbelievable.
have I
So my
have
point,
pictures of Nuremberg just after World War II. My father-in-law took. I'll have to bring some up next time. Go
Please
ahead,
do.
Paul.
But
Sorry.
but the guy who was interviewed on Daily Beast made a distinction between narcissism and malignant narcissism. And saying basically the narcissism is, what it is. It's not great. It has its own thing, but that there's a difference between narcissism and malignant narcissism, and that Trump clearly,
is a
and
malignant.
Stalin and Mao and Nixon and and Goering and Franco, all these dictators had malignant narcissism. As
Anyway,
Well,
I just
what
want to
makes
say
Go ahead,
everybody
Paul.
should watch the movie. It's really well done, and the message is they're still here. They're
Well,
among us,
you've got this
and
blow
they're
up now.
Nazis.
You've got Paul. You got this blow up now with Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes, who are outspoken Nazis, and then you get this Candace Owens, who's blatantly anti-Semitic, not like oh, I'm for the Palestinians. She just flat out hates Jews. So this is a whole other world we're entering here,
We
and
do
that's
have
what. Go
Tammy
ahead.
Wilson is here. She's a candidate in Columbus. If I got that right. I wanted to say before she gets on, here you have a Congress submitting a vote to release the Epstein files to be approved by the perpetrator. Impeach him already. This is ridiculous how far we've gone. I mean, how can this even happen? It's ridiculous. Thanks.
Oh yeah, and
Tammy?
I wanted to mention it's not the Epstein files that are really, or the emails, it's the videos. Epstein took hundreds of hours of videos, and they don't dare release that stuff. And I don't think we're ever going to see them unless somebody gets in there and figures out the way to pirate that stuff. That's what's really the killer stuff. As I talked to Dave Saltman earlier, everybody knows what Trump did. There's no surprises in there, but it's the videos that are the end. You heard it here first. Okay, we're almost out of time. Sandy Bozenius, did you want to? You've got Tammy there. Did you
Yes,
want to
this
make
is
some?
Tammy.
Yeah, go ahead real quick, Tammy. You can come back
Okay,
next
I
week.
just wanted to comment. You guys were talking about election interference, and here in Ohio, I ran against Jim Jordan, and I suspected election interference because with my race, the vote percentages 22 to 2024 were the exact same. And so even though they said that it was low voter turnout, now in my district, we had 525,000 registered voters. They said it was low election turnout, but supposedly we had 400,000 people turn out to vote, which was extremely high and a much higher number than I had anticipated. But my vote goal, which I believe that I hit. Now, if you look at the numbers, there was like an extra 100,000 votes that were, I think, played with. So someone had mentioned Election Truth Alliance and on the call. Well, I called those guys, so I had them come and evaluate Ohio. And so what they found was they said that Ohio is so hacked that they cannot even find a baseline of normal here. So I don't know if you guys have seen that HBO special Dark Money about how corrupt Ohio is. Yeah. So
well, listen, come back next week, please.
Okay.
And we'll work with Steve, and we'll give you a good proper format to talk about.
And if you can get Nathan Taylor on, that would be great.
Well, go ahead, track him down, and we'll set aside some real time for you to talk about this.
Okay, I can bring the guys with me because we have lawsuits in the swing states. They can explain all about how they hacked the elections in other states and everything too.
We will do that. So work with Steve, please, and set that up.
The chance that Trump won is 50 octillion, which is with 28 zeros.
Yeah.
Well, let's do
possibility. 1 in 50 octillion.
Steve, let's set up a segment. We'll do that next week, absolutely. And I'm glad that Jim Jordan did not get you in a neck hold. Thank God.
Yeah, the same thing happened with Lieberman. Lieberman, after 2 consecutive elections, had the same amount of votes, and this has happened in other places too.
Well, let's have a segment, Steve. If you can organize that for next week, we'll be glad to have it.
I put my number in the chat.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to talk about the OSU scandal because everyone's talking about the Epstein files, but we have a current OSU case going on right now. And the Trump administration, they took away emotional damages with court cases. And so anytime anyone is raped or anytime emotional damages come up, they took away the ability for someone to sue for emotional damages.
Let's talk about that too. That really deserves. I saw that documentary about Ohio.
Yeah.
Devastating.
Yeah.
So let's bring that up too. Steve, please work with Tammy and give us a full segment next week. We'll deal with it. Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you both. Thank you so much.
I really I want your help on trying to figure out what legislation we need to draw up to protect our elections. Because we know that it's happening through the tabulation machines. So I just wanted some of your guidance because Sandy said that you've been doing this for so long.
Guidance. So you and Steve, please work this up, and we'll give you the time next week. This has been a devastating thing. Mimi, you had another thing to bring up, and then we're going to sign off. Mimi in California?
And Lynn Feinerman, too.
And Lynn Feinerman will be the last. Go ahead,
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. I just wanted to remind everyone that there's a huge event this weekend coming up in DC, Remove the Regime Coalition. Everybody get to DC if you can. This is involving Flair, USA, Veterans, Indivisible, 5051. There's going to be entertainment on the Saturday. The website is removetheregime.com. The dates are from the November 20th through the 22nd. If you can only get to DC, please come on the 22nd. They're not doing events in other states because they want everyone to go to DC to remove the regime. And they are working on committed to constitutional removal and peaceful activism. So they're involving veterans. They're involving all kinds of groups. Go to removetheregime.com as well for transportation options. There are buses going from throughout the East Coast out to to Ohio, Wisconsin, also Florida and the Carolinas. So please get there to remove the regime. There you
go.
On the 21st, on the 20th is the March to Congress to see for congressional visits led by Representative Al Green, right, who's already put forward impeachment papers. And then there's going to be Movement Solidarity and Mutual Aid. This is also on the 20th. Then on the 21st, there are tools to take home. At 2 p.m., there's a veterans rally, and there will be ticketed comedy events in the evening. The major event being on Sunday, the 22nd. There's going to be a main rally in March to peacefully converge on the nation's capital to demand impeachment and removal. The rally featuring headlining speakers and live entertainment from the Dropkick Murphys and Earth to Eve. With the march on to Washington, the exact location is to be announced. So thank you so much, everyone, and thank you for your time.
Hey, thank you. That's a model presentation. Thank you again, Steve. If you can put up that poster again, that's great.
It's
And we
in the
will talk
chat.
about this next week. Thank
Lynn
you.
Feinerman, we got to go.
Go ahead, Lynn. We're all done now.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up Dr. Nancy's presentation and what they said about placing oneself as a judge of what is happening, which is, of course, what Donald Trump's trying to do with this entire Epstein fiasco. That, in fact, Benjamin Netanyahu has just appointed himself the head of the committee that will look into all the crimes for which he is accused.
Okay, yes, in Israel. And we're going to revisit this obviously next week. We'll put out the list. Nancy, if you want to upgrade whatever. And Dr. Ruth, will give you the last word. Thank you, Steve Caruso, thank you, Lynn, for that. Thank you, Steve Caruso, for engineering. Mike Hirsch, Maurice, and Tatanka, Mimi, everybody on the crew. What an incredible 2 hours. We still have 54 people with us, mind-boggling. What a great group of people you are. Really an honor to work with you all. And we'll be back again next week. Ruth Strauss, go ahead and kick us out here.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry I had some technical difficulties.
Okay,
but
okay.
Thank you, Nancy, for what you put in. And I will also say that I'm sure people here know about Bandy Lee, who put out the book with 27, and now she redid it with 40 psychiatrists talking about, she's an expert in violence. And she, obviously has felt that he is a violent person as well as, many other things. And so, unfortunately, she got in trouble because of this Goldwater rule, which I didn't know
Okay.
about. I can talk another time.
No, it's fine. What's the name of the book?
The book is 47 or 40 psychiatrists weigh in on Donald Trump.
Okay, so we will start next week in the first hour. We won't open the show, but we'll start. And Ruth, I'll expect you to give us a book report, and we're going to visit that. And let's pray that between now and then, Donald Trump does not push the button. But I've never been more worried. I'm more worried now than I ever was with Ronald Reagan. So let's deal with this. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, everybody, for an incredible couple of hours. And we will see you again next week. No nukes.
No nukes.
And pray God, no nuclear war between now